You didn't have to miss. And congratulations, you have a closing happening today or tomorrow? Tomorrow?
Woo!
'Yay.
8 a.m. tomorrow. First one, guys.
All right,
Woohoo,
congratulations.
that's exciting.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and you've got another one going, right? So you're getting your dominoes all set up and they're starting to fall.
Hmm.
That's what
Here's a
happens.
quick question. When I close at 8 a.m., when I close tomorrow at 8 a.m., do all I have left to do is give the keys, right? Is that it? Utilities
Yes,
and keys?
yes, and don't do that until you have the email confirmation. Okay, so if something
Okay.
goes wrong, you want to make sure you haven't given keys out. I've
Right.
actually had an
Okay.
agent do
I just want to make sure that's all that's left. I'm like, that's all that's left, right? Is keys.
Yeah, as far
Perfect.
as
I'll make
handling
sure.
that part of the transaction, but don't forget we're creating clients for life, right? So you're gonna usually we'll give a thank you gift to the client. Doesn't have to be tomorrow. Um, a week later, you're gonna want to check in and see if they're getting settled in, how that's going. And then, check in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and of course a year, happy home anniversary, and make sure they're in your 36 touch plan or more in command. So now
I'm
those
representing the seller. Is that with a buyer or with the seller?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I got yours mixed up. Yes, so with the seller, you still want to check in and see how they're doing. Did they get to their new home? How are things going, right? So you want to do that check in and make sure they're on your 36 touch plan for their new area of where they will be. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. Thank you.
Okay, so how I know we're getting a ways into it and we're coming close to the finish line, I think. How is it going with the 6 weeks to a signed contract?
Going good.
Who's gotten a contract
Yeah,
signed?
Rick. Well, Rick just got a listing.
Yay.
Yep. It's a land listing, but it's a listing and I'm happy with it. So gotten a couple land listings. So
All listings matter, right?
yeah, yes they
So
do.
so how are the practice appointments going for you? And are you still doing them? Because you should be if you don't have an actual appointment in the week.
I haven't done one every week, honestly, but I have practiced with my husband, but I just haven't done, I've only done two with friends.
Okay. So let's
But
make
one's a potential buyer.
Nice. Very good. That's a very good one to practice on. So let's make sure that you guys are making that part of your week, right? Because if you have a appointment every single week, that should be your goal to have an actual real estate appointment, right? But if you don't end up getting that appointment spot filled, make sure you're doing your practice ones because we want to stay focused on appointments. When you're focused on that and doing the practice ones, the real ones will come more and more. And then you won't get rusty in the meantime. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to talk to a referral that you're given. Anybody else have something specific today that they want to mastermind around? No? Okay. So let's talk about that first. And then if something comes up, feel free to let me know. But there is something that I want to ask all of you when we're done talking about that. So, first of all, when you get a referral, before I say anything, who has had some success with receiving a referral from someone and converting that to an actual piece of business? And how did you do that? Autumn?
I got referred the clients that I'm in escrow with up in Paso from previous people. I used to work at the YMCA and previous people who I would see on a daily basis. It's their son who they referred to me. And I don't know how I turned it in. I slowly emailed him. He said when he was living in his previous area that he gave his number and email address to a real estate agent, and they called them every week. And he's like, I don't want to give you my phone number because of that. And I said, I assure you I won't do that. I said, just, it's easier if I have your contact information, and I'll just touch base with you once a month until you give me heads up that we need to talk more often. And he said, okay. He agreed to that. And I just did that. I would send him personal emails, kind of something I found offhand that was already written up, but I edited to fit my needs for him. And I hooked him up with Tyler from Motif, and they hit it off. And so I think after I set him up with Tyler, he got a good feeling from the both of us. So now we're in escrow.
Awesome. I heard in there how you overcame an objection that did everybody pick up on that? Because so much of the time we hear somebody say, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give you my number. And we're like, okay, instead of, finding a solution and a reason why they would want to give their number. Nice job on that.
Yeah, good job.
So anybody else have something that they like to say in particular when they receive a referral? So one thing to be sure, if you get a referral from somebody, and it doesn't matter who it is, make sure you send them a thank you card and like a $5 Starbucks card or something, right? Because it doesn't matter if that referral turns to business, right? What matters is that they gave you one, and you want to reward the behavior so they continue to give you referrals. So make sure that you're doing that. They have no idea if it's going to turn to business, so they shouldn't be you shouldn't wait until it does to give them a thank you. And then of course, if it does turn to business, then definitely send them another thank you. And hey, I just wanted to let you know I was able to, we just closed the transaction with Ross Hartman, who you sent to me a few months ago, and I just want to thank you again. I really appreciate that, right? And that's another way to reach out to people who are giving you referrals and staying in touch with them. So it's pretty simple when you're talking to somebody, just because it can be a little nerve-wracking to call. Like, first of all, do you have their permission? Did they give permission to give their number out? And it doesn't matter if they did or they didn't, you're still going to call them, but the call may be a little warmer if they had permission, right? But just simply call them and say, hey, Ross, my name's Jodi Jolly. I'm with Keller Williams, and I'm calling you because Rick Cook, our mutual friend, gave me your number and said you might be interested in having a real estate conversation, or thinking whatever it is they told you, right? And it's really pretty just, you want to just start the conversation like you would anything else and build rapport. Make sure you put them at ease, confirm. Is that something that you're looking to do right now? And let the conversation just start.
Jodi, do you send thank yous? I mean, I was going to, I got my first open house from, a realtor in our office. Do you send them a thank you for letting them, for hosting their open house? I just feel like I think they're few and far between in our office, so I was really grateful to actually get an open house.
That's a personal choice. Not many people do. I mean, a thank you in the form of a text or verbal is definitely appropriate to give them something, not necessarily because, you're doing them a big favor by doing the open house and keeping sellers happy. But that's a personal choice. If you want to, there's nothing wrong with that either.
I usually text them how it went. Thanks for the opportunity, and this is how many people came through, and this was kind of the feedback I was getting, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is super important to do, because the sellers are going to ask them, right? And so to not have to hunt you down saves them time. So if you just, when you leave the open house, send that type of a text or email or phone call immediately, that's very good practice.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Simona. Welcome. Hi, Michelle. Saw you guys sneak in here when we were in the middle of a conversation. So glad that you're here.
Hi.
Simona, just real quick, did you end up getting the welcome email?
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Okay. Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. Awesome. All right. So any other question about that? Anything else to say about that? Thoughts? No? Okay. Is there anything else specific that you guys have thought of you want to mastermind around today or need help with a struggle that you may be having? You guys are very quiet today. Did you eat an
I'll speak up. Hi. I'm just curious. I submitted an offer 2 days ago. We haven't heard back yet. And it looks like there's 4 offers in and possibly 2 more coming in today. And I'm curious, if it goes forward, who calls termite? Do I call them immediately to go out there, or who's calling them?
It depends what's negotiated in the contract. And that is more of those types of questions here. By the way, I love the questions, but they are more of ask a coach type questions.
Okay.
Because this is like, we want to try to mastermind around here. And I think this might be your first time here. We
Yeah.
want to mastermind around struggles and issues that we're having so that we can help move our business forward. But I will quickly just reiterate.
That's okay. No. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Whoever
move
is
forward.
negotiated into do it.
Got
So
it.
if the seller's doing it, the seller does it. If the buyer's paying for it, the buyer's
Perfect. Thank
agent.
you. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. There is something that I do want to bring up. I want everybody, so don't laugh at me. I want you to do this, and I'm going to ask you to put your answer in the chat. And there is a reason I'm doing this, because I know some of you have done this 100,000 times, and that's okay. I know that's an exaggeration. Take out your phone. I get to hear Jason Abrams say this every Thursday on my career event call, and I am going to go through this with you. So bear with me. There is a reason. And there is something that we really need to get back to with some basics. And I don't care how long you've been in this business. If you're brand new, this is great. If you've been around a while, this is something to not lose sight of. Okay. So get out your phones, go to your contacts and scroll to the bottom to tell it, and then put in the chat, how many contacts do you have in your phone? 11:44, 7:33. Nice. $437, 1071. Okay. Keep them coming because you're going to need this number in a minute. Wow, 1789. That's awesome. 178. 86. Okay. Waiting for a couple more to put it in there. And this is going to be a really good exercise. So put the number of contacts in your phone in the chat is what we're doing.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to take a call real quick. But I got a listing. Just wanted to let you guys know.
Congratulations.
I've been waiting for this call, so
you're on fire because you shared another one with me earlier this week. Your current listing is in escrow, right?
yes.
Yay.
We're in escrow, and I was waiting for this call, and she called me right now. I'm like, oh my God, let me answer. So we set the appointment to go sign the contract, so we're good.
Good job. Yay.
Awesome.
See, it works. Remember, I'm going to reiterate what we heard at Mega Camp while the last couple of you are finding your contacts in your phone. Even though we are in a slower market and it is expected to stay slower through the rest of this year. However, there's still plenty of business out there to be had. But there's a caveat. So think as I say these next few words, think of it in large capital letters. If you do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, you're not going to get the business. And it's really that simple. So there's things we have to do in our day-to-day business that aren't necessarily fun and aren't our favorite things to do, but they're necessary to get the business. That's part of why I'm taking you back through this exercise that you've probably already done many times. And I don't care because we need to be reminded. Okay, so all of you, I want you to take the number that you have of your contacts. Sorry, had a brain moment there. Take the number of your contacts and multiply it by 0.06 or 6%. And then I want you to put that number in the chat. Okay, so if you get a number with a decimal, round it up to the next number.
Jody, just a question of clarification. I keep almost all my contacts in command. I don't really save them in my phone. So would you rather the command number or this number?
Actually, you know what? Let's do the command number because that's going to make more sense. Now there's a reason so we'll do both because there's a reason for this, right? So I want you to see the difference. So these are the contacts in your phone. So once you get that number in there, now I want you to tell me how many contacts, and this is important, and this is where the discussion is going to lead to. How many contacts are in your command? Now, these are SOI contacts, right? I don't care how many realtors you have in there. I don't care about none of that. How many actual SOI contacts do you have in command? And be honest about the number. And because remember, knowledge is power, and we can't fix something even if we have a low number if we don't know what we're working with.
You have other than the SOI tag, do you have a hint as to how I can filter out, or should I just guesstimate like how many are agents?
I mean, unless you just have half your database full, just put however many contacts you have in command. Because I'm guessing you don't have 500 agents in there. Oh, that's a good number, Ross. Okay.
I don't like to fill my phone up.
I don't blame you. Remember back in the days when we could only put 100 contacts in here? We'd have to delete somebody to put a new one in. That was crazy. 496. Okay, this is good. Keep going. I want to see everyone's number. This is important. Those are some good numbers, guys.
We just learned how to transition all of our phone contacts into command, which is amazing.
Isn't it so easy? That's a recent update. It's literally what, 3 or 4 clicks and bam, they're in there.
Yep.
Okay. We've got somebody's not being honest here. Let's put your numbers in there. We got almost everybody. Okay. I appreciate that. All right. Keep going. Now, you have probably heard of the 201 Club, right? Have you heard of the 201 Club at Keller Williams? Anybody not know what that is? Okay. So what that is we want everybody to get to 201 contacts as quickly as possible. That should be your minimum target number. And of course, you want to grow from there. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but real quick, you got one, well, actually, you've got a couple more pieces of math to do. And now I want you to take that number, your command number, and divide that or multiply that by 6%. Okay. Okay. Now I want you to do one more thing, and let's stick with the command number, and then you can mentally, not literally do the math, but you can mentally see the from your contacts of your phone. So I want you to take the number that you just put in, the 6% of your database, multiply that number by your average commission in your marketplace. And if somebody doesn't know it, shout out your market center and we'll help you with it.
How much is it for Porter Ranch, Jody?
It's roughly 18 to 20,000. So let's go low and say 18,000.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Tulare County, we're probably looking at about 9,500, maybe a little more. The rest of you, 18 is a good number to use. Okay, so multiply your not the contact number, but your 6% number by your average commission. And put that in the chat. And then we'll move on with our discussion. Nice. Okay. Very good. These are some pretty good numbers. Wow, Ross, that's a big one. Okay, so what those numbers are there, that is the potential amount of money that you have either sitting in your phone or in your database. The average person moves every 5 to 7 years, right? So even if the people in your database aren't moving, they know someone who's moving. So the reason that we want you to get to 201 contacts as soon as possible is because you need to be in touch with these people regularly, a minimum of 36 times a year. That sounds like a lot, but how many, most of you are, but a couple of you may not be familiar with the neighborhood nurtures in command. You put every single contact on a neighborhood nurture, the bi-weekly, monthly, whatever it's called, and you had, that's 26 of them right there. 26. And who doesn't want to know what's going on in their area? So I would implore you to go through your database and search for who does not have an address. Get that address. Put them in some neighborhood. If you're having a hard time getting their address, you know, there's this little website called fastpeoplesearch.com. Put their name and the city they live in there. You can get their address. It's free. It's online. Get these addresses in there because you can put everybody on a neighborhood nurture, but if it doesn't have a neighborhood attached to the contact, it won't send the email. Okay. So I have a slide I'm going to show you. If I can find it, that is. Oh, here it is. This is from Keller Williams. And they're calling it the Club 201. This is statistics that they have put together around having over 200 contacts in your database. This number in red is what an average agent makes with this number of contacts in their database. So you can see the real money starts coming when we get over 200. And a lot of this is done automatically, which doesn't negate us having to reach out personally. 4 of those touches per year should be a personal touch by a phone call or drop by or whatever. When you start having past clients pop by with gifts every quarter, it doesn't have to be anything huge or fantastic. It could be something, from the dollar store that is clever, like, a packet of seeds in the springtime attached to a card with something clever said on it. Send a penny in the mail. Ask a penny for your thoughts, right? Who do you think is likely to make a move in the next year? Do different things. But this is pretty telling, right? But notice how there's a lot of agents that start, they put a few, oops, go back the other way. Sorry, I don't know what's happening. Okay. There. They start putting contacts into command. They get a few in there, and you notice a lot of them stop at 10. That's not going to make anybody very much money. You might get 1, maybe 2 deals out of that. Maybe, and probably not right away. So 201 is the sweet spot. And of course, the more you have in there and the more you let your database work for you, the more money that you're going to make. So, oops. Oh, okay. There we go. I implore you, if you have not been doing that, if your database is missing information, missing phone numbers, missing emails, missing addresses, you need to get that information. So I'm going to challenge you this week to find 50 people in your database with any of those things missing and get that information. At least 50. Okay. If you don't have anyone in there yet, because you just got started, get 50 people in there. But not having contacts in your database is not letting you use your time wisely, right? Let the database do the heavy lifting for you because it works.
Jodi, could I add something to that?
Please.
I do a lot of door knocking, but through command, my strongest tool is a neighborhood nurture. And when you go in and learn how to do the reports, a lot of people open it. A lot. I mean, they get it and they look, because everyone is curious about what houses in their neighborhood are going for. I'm actually surprised. I see people who tell me that they're never going to sell in my database. Like they have told me that you can come talk to my kids when I die. They are opening it up and looking at the houses to see how much they're worth. So who knows? Never is really never, but a lot of people open it.
That's so true. And let me just tell you a really quick story about that. There are some people who will not move before they die. Okay. There is a realtor, and she wasn't with Keller Williams. She was with a different company. I don't even think at the time they had a Keller Williams in this area. But my grandmother lived in her house for, gosh, over 50 years. No, yeah, something like that. Anyway, for the last 20-ish years that she lived in that house, there was a realtor who lived in the neighborhood. She lived 3 blocks away. And every single month, she would personally go knock on doors and give them a flyer with what had happened in the neighborhood that month. My grandmother looked forward to getting that. I remember when the values got so ridiculously high, she'd call me. I can't even believe this. They paid like $17,000 for the house. I mean, it's crazy. And after she passed away, we sold it for almost 700,000, and that was in 07. So think about what it's worth now. So, but here's the thing. Who do you think I called to help sell the house when it came time to sell the house? Because it was in an area I wasn't gonna be able to service it. We called her. My grandma loved her. She had conversations with her. It was because of building those relationships. So some of your clients are going to take a long time, but unless you're not planning to be in this business for very long, start building those relationships. But the key is consistency. If you're not consistent and you're hit and miss and doing it halfway, it's not going to work. But her sign was, there was a sign of hers up in that neighborhood almost all the time somewhere. So it works. Really, really works. Okay, so the numbers that you put in the chat, your financial number there, the money that's there. Start using your database like a hidden treasure. Dig in there, find what's missing, and add it to it. And stop ignoring it. Because I know how agents are. Not going to pick on anyone, but even those of us that have been doing this for a long time, we get in ruts. We get in things where we just don't do what we know we should do. But let the command do the work, excuse me, for you. Go in there and create a text. Create 4 texts. Send them 3 months apart. Hi, contact first name. I just wanted to check and see how you're doing. How's things? Right? Make it something generic so that it can go out to everyone. Put everyone on your database on that text. But don't start them all today. Stagger them. How many people are you willing to have a response from? 10 a day? So stagger however many people are in your database and tell it to start it 10 per day, starting whatever day, right? Because one thing that we have found, it's been proven, I have had it personally proven to me, even with just you agents in the program. Since we started adding text to some of our smart plans to reach out to you, we're getting a lot more responses than we were getting before. And they're also now teaching this in bold. And I'm here to tell you that the last time I took bold, so I took bold the first time many years ago, I don't remember how many, and we were not allowed to use text as part of our contacts. You had to have a phone conversation, and you had to have 20 a week. You could have text conversations, you could have email conversations back and forth. We could not count that as part of our conversations. Fast forward to I think it was 2019. It was the last in-person one. Texting was becoming more of a thing. So they were allowing us to use 50% of our contacts from texts. Now they're telling people start texting. So you're still doing 20 conversations, meaning back and forth, but it could be any way that works. And texting really works. So I know there's some that don't love text. It's not personal enough. I like to pick up the phone. Great, pick up the phone. But the fact of the matter is, people in general are preferring text. So start texting. Get your fingers sore. Most people text like this. I don't. I'm this kind of a person. Does that matter? I make less mistakes that way, and I'm faster, maybe because I can type fast.
And if you don't like using your phone like that, you can set your computer up to text. That's how I do it. Because I was not a huge texter. I was a caller. And even my clients, when they're like, I have one in escrow now, she still wants to communicate 95% of the time through text.
Yeah.
like she'll call sometimes, but it allows you to read something and keep working and doing whatever you're doing as opposed to interrupting your time for a phone call. I was not a believer, but I'm being forced that direction.
I've noticed a mixed result. The texts are great for the quickies and the, you know, getting yourself on their mind and such, but the phone calls are way better for the deeper connection.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Nobody's saying don't make phone calls, to be clear, but get it started with a text. And here's another tip about texts. Put emojis in them, please. I don't care how dumb you think they are. Use them, because people can read a tone into a text that you don't intend to be there. And it could be because of the mood they're in when they read it. They could take it wrong. So put a smiley face or a smiley cat, that's what I do, in your text, please, or a laughy, whatever's appropriate to your text. But we got to have that when we do things in writing like that, because people read what we don't intend to be read if we don't do that.
I keep saying there needs to be a sarcasm font, like a whole different font that if you're being sarcastic, you can tell because it's like slanted or something.
That's funny. So I'm gonna add to your challenge this week. Okay, you got to find 50 people where you're missing information and fill it in. And I want you to create that SMART plan with 4 texts spaced 3 months apart and add it to everyone in your database, because you can bulk at it, right? So add it to everyone in your database. Just make sure you stagger the start, so only so many a day go out. And if you don't know how to do that, Marty Miller has a video to help you. It's in the toolkit. Okay, so we got to get these databases going and working for us. You guys have too much money sitting in there. And it's a proven statistical fact. The average person moves right now every 5 to 7 years. And so you want to be the one that is reaching out to them when they're at that point. They have unexpected life events, right? They get married, they have babies, they get fired, they get transferred. Things happen. So be there when those things happen. Be that person on the top of mind. So if you're doing 4 phone calls and you're doing 4 texts, right? And I would argue that quarterly call, put your quarterly texts along with those. You'll be surprised at how many responses you get from text, even if it's just, oh, great to hear from you. I'm doing good. How are you? Remember, these don't have to be forced into real estate conversations. This is building rapport. This is keeping in contact with them. Make one of them toward the end of the year. Hey, by the way, just curious, I'm reaching out to everyone I know and asking the question, do you happen to know anyone who's thinking about selling, buying, or investing in real estate anytime soon? Or in the next year? Don't make it the first one that goes out. But make it toward the end of the year, right? So that all that time that you're staying top of mind, at some point it's appropriate to ask. Because what's the number one reason we don't get a sale or an appointment?
We don't ask.
We don't ask. So if you're not setting actual real estate appointments and you're having real estate conversations, how are you ending those conversations? Are you actually asking for appointments? Are you asking for the business? Are you asking for referrals? And if you're not, don't be surprised that you don't have appointments. One appointment a week is going to blow all your goals out of the water. Imagine if you had 2 a week. Anybody want the kind of money they put in the chat? Yeah. So start looking at lead generation as treasure hunting. Make it more positive even in your mind when you talk about it, right? Let's go on a treasure hunt every morning for 2 to 3 hours. So for some of you, I know that wasn't a brand new conversation, but I think reminders are important. And sometimes we forget the value of what we actually have to work with. And this has been coming a lot. That we talked about this at Mega Camp. We've talked about this in a couple team meetings since I've returned from Mega Camp. They're talking about it on our leadership growth call. This is just something that we all have to be reminded of because we get complacent. And for those of you that are newer, it's very important information for you to have now to start off correctly. Okay. Thoughts, questions, comments? Who's going to do the challenge this week? Love it. Love it. Love it. Very good. All right. Did any of this conversation bring up anything for you guys? Any questions or concerns? Any limiting beliefs? Anybody telling themselves a limiting belief right now that you're willing to share? We could talk about when I talk about this challenge. Okay, that means everybody's going to do it.
Well, you knocked down a roadblock for me when you said how to get addresses.
Good.
I need a lot of addresses.
Yeah. Don't realize, I mean, it's a great way to reach out to somebody to ask for the information.
How to get
Wait a minute, we're having some feedback. Okay, hold on. Autumn, I'm going to mute you because something about when you unmuted, it caused some feedback. But I do want to ask you what you just said. So can you type it in the chat? I think you might have been asking about where we find the addresses. And so I'm going to assume that right now. Fastpeoplesearch.com. It's a free website. You can get addresses, you can get phone numbers, you can get, I don't think you can get email addresses there, but you can get a lot of information and it's all public information. Find names for who lives at a certain address. Yes, so you can look at things. You know what? Let me just show you the site real fast because this is a really cool site. Oop, nope, not right now. Okay.
Jody, can I say something really quick? In the Orange County Market Center, we use the resources of a title company. Could that work as well?
Not necessarily. So
Okay.
yes and no. And the reason that I say that is because you typically don't get phone numbers from title companies.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is fastpeoplesearch.com and it's really cool. So you can put in a name, right? So you can put in just somebody's name, put in the city they live in, and boom, information. You can do it a different way. You have their phone number.
You're 53?
Oh, whoops, did I just give that away? Yeah, for a little bit longer. See, put in a phone number, comes up. Then you can also put in the address. And it'll bring up who lives at that address. So that's my husband. And we've been here forever. So anyway, it's a really, really great tool. So, but be careful. I have to caution you. If you get phone numbers from here, we must be TCPA compliant, meaning you cannot call a phone number if it's on the do not call list. So you have to scrub the number. Okay. So don't call anybody you don't have permission to without scrubbing the number. But there's nothing wrong with putting their address in your command so that they can get an email for their neighborhood. Okay. So now there's no excuses to have any missing addresses unless you get a random one that only gives you a P.O. box. So
You can do neighborhoods around PO boxes. I mean, that's the best part about neighborhood nurture is you should really pick more than just the exact neighborhood that they're in order to make sure that you get results. So do the neighborhoods around the PO box.
there you go. There you go. All right. Well, I'm glad that was helpful to you.
I actually looked myself up and it actually gave my address when I used to live in San Francisco, which
Yeah,
was
it'll give your
9 years
last
ago.
several addresses.
Wow, this is very good.
Yeah.
No
and it's
excuses
free.
now, Jodi.
No excuses. I just knocked them all down. Awesome. Well, I hope that helps. That is a great tool. Use it wisely though, right? And you saw how fast it comes up. So you could knock out several missing info, schedule a half hour a day to find your missing information. You can search in command. You can go to the advanced search in the contacts when you do the filters so that you can search for contacts without an address. And then just go through. And once you set that filter, you can leave that there. So every day, go in during your time block and get your addresses. Because I'm sure you guys are missing lots of addresses. Once those emails start flowing, now you're connecting with people again. All right, guys, any last thoughts, questions, comments? Now's your chance. We do have 10 minutes. So Michelle and anyone else, if you have actual questions that we don't normally talk about here, I'm happy to do those now. And if those of you that don't want to take get 10 extra minutes or 11 back in your day, feel free.
Thank you, Jodi.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jodi.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You. Yeah, we have a few extra minutes. So please, I know, Michelle, you had some other questions. So how can we help you?
Thank you. And sorry, I had to jump off. I'm trying to manage two things at once there. So I jumped on as soon as I could. But it was just the contract. I think my mind's spinning from the possibility of what's going to play out and, just kind of, I think just a bunch of marbles spinning in my head as to how to handle things. And nothing's really even come up. So
Okay.
we went from the 24-hour response to leaving it open to the 3 days. And so as of this morning, he said that there were 4 offers and expecting 2 more in today.
Okay.
So, but which is fine. We'll just wait and see what happens on
What
that.
I would do if I were you is I would ask him what he'll tell you about those offers. And then I would go back to your buyer and see if they aren't the strongest offer, if they want to amend their offer to be a little stronger.
Okay.
Depends on how bad they want the house. But if you know there's more offers coming in today and there's now multiple offers on the table, I would definitely find out what I could about those offers, share that with my buyer, and give them the opportunity to make their offer better.
Okay, perfect. I will definitely take that advice. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And please
Appreciate
know,
it.
those of you that are newer on here, we do have an Ask a Coach every day of the week. It's in the PC calendar, where there is a live coach to ask there's no, as long as it's real estate related, there's no question off limits. And we don't believe in dumb questions, right? There's no dumb, stupid, silly, whatever question. If it's a question in your mind, it's a question that needs to be asked, and we definitely welcome them.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have the PC Ask a Coach email too, that all the coaches see. So that way, because I'm often in meetings like this, so I don't get to them as fast as possible. So if you email just me, it could be a while before I get back to you. So we ask that you make sure and use that channel. That way somebody else can help you faster. Does anybody else have any other quick questions before we go? All righty. Well, I'll give you guys 8 minutes back in your day. And we're here when you need us, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day, everyone.